You know, I love books, and I want other people to love books too, but I want them to love their books, not my books. You see, my aversion to loaning out my own books isn't just because I have highlights and notes in them that I might need, or that I'm afraid some miscreant is gonna crack the spine or dog-ear the pages, though, to be honest, I am afraid that both of those things would happen. See, I don't like loaning my books out because I know that once a book is borrowed, it rarely ever finds its way home. There was a French poet who joked, "Never lend books, for no one ever returns them. The only books I have in my library are books that other folk have lent me." Well, there's some truth to that statement. But you know, Charles Spurgeon had a personal library of over 12,000 books, so he was no stranger to the concern of books being lent and never finding their way back to his shelves. Once, when loaning a couple of books to a friend, he wrote this in a letter dated October 9th of 1886.
"I do not like being security for a man that he will return books, for no ordinary mortals ever do so. Please hold me harmless by scrupulously returning each volume intact and with promptness. I don't like it, but I have done it for you. God bless you."
Spurgeon had even more to say about borrowing and loaning books in an address to his beloved pastors' college. He told them,
"If you feel you must have more books, I recommend to you a little judicious borrowing. You will most likely have some friends who have books and who will be kind enough to let you use them for a time. And I especially advise you, in order to borrow again, to return whatever is lent promptly and in good condition. I hope there is not so much need that I should say much about returning books, as there would have been a few months ago, for I have lately met with a statement by a clergyman which has very much raised my opinion of human nature. For he declares that he has a personal acquaintance with 3 gentlemen who have actually returned borrowed umbrellas. I am sorry to say that he moves in a more favored circle than I do, for I have personal acquaintance with several young men who have borrowed books and never returned them. The other day a certain minister who had lent me 5 books, which I have used for 2 years or more, wrote to me a note to request the return of 3 of them. To his surprise, he had them back by the next parcel's delivery, and 2 others which he had forgotten. I had carefully kept a list of books borrowed, and therefore could make a complete return to the owner. I am sure he did not expect their prompt arrival, for he wrote me a letter of mingled astonishment and gratitude, and when I visit his study again, I feel sure I shall be welcome to another loan. You know the rhyme which has been written in many a man's book. If thou art borrowed by a friend, right welcome shall he be to read, to study, not to lend, but to return to me. Not that imparted knowledge doth diminish learning's store, but books I find, when once they're lent, return to me no more." Sir Walter Scott used to say that his friends might be very indifferent accountants, but he was sure they were good bookkeepers. Some have even had to go to the length of the scholar who, when asked to lend a book, sent word by the servant that he would not let the book go out of his chamber, but the gentleman who sought the loan might come and sit there and read as long as he liked. The rejoinder was unexpected but complete when, his fire being slow to burn, he sent to the same person to borrow a pair of bellows, and received for answer that the owner could not lend the bellows out of his own chamber, but the gentleman might come and blow there as long as he liked. Judicious borrowing may furnish you with much reading, but remember the man's axe head in the Scriptures, and be careful of what you borrow. The wicked borroweth, and payeth not again.
So yes, we should be generous with our books. After all, Spurgeon was. But if you do borrow a book, be sure that you return whatsoever is lent promptly and in good condition. Thanks for listening. We'll see you next time here on the Spurgeon Legacy Podcast.